In this video series, we will look at a complex issue, South Africa's inequality. We will show you how South Africa was designed and built to be unequal, by showing you how land was used to engrave inequality into the DNA of the country.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Layman. We take complex issues, simplify them, then present them to you in a logical, informative, and entertaining manner. This is where we put everything in layman's terms. This is Layman, simplifying complexity. We will look at the issue of land from different perspectives, an urban planning perspective, and how does the use of land as an instrument of oppression affect South Africa today. The past is always mentioned when speaking about inequality in South Africa. Land was dispossessed from the natives using the Natives Land Act of 1913. We all know that, or at least most South Africans do. What is often overlooked, though, is the present.
You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
If the present is mentioned, certain details are not included. Details that will paint a much clearer picture. Details that will answer the question, how does the issue of land contribute to inequality? The 1913 Land Act, the Group Areas Act, and the establishment of the Bantustans paved the way for the apartheid government to expropriate land without compensation from the black majority. This led to black people being moved from place to place as the government saw fit. How does this affect South Africa today? In this video, we will tackle the issue of inequality using land. We will look at the use of land to foster inequality. We will tackle this issue from different perspectives, from an urban planning perspective, and how does the use of land as an instrument of oppression affect South Africa today? In the olden days, before civilization, human settlement would just happen, largely unplanned. People would settle near rivers, fertile land, near trade routes, or the safest location. As society progressed, though, things began happening in a more organized way. Human settlement began being planned. As a result, today we have villages, towns and cities which together form states or provinces that when combined create countries. This is an oversimplified explanation, of course, because we don't have enough time, and this video is not about the evolution of human settlement. South Africa is said to be the most economically unequal country in the world. Images like these are often used to prove or support that statement. These images contrast between the lived realities of the haves and the have-nots, which is mostly white versus black South Africans. This creates a political arena where politics of race takes center stage and gain immediate popularity with the masses. Remember the Land Act of 1913? Well, from an urban and spatial planning perspective, it meant that in that era, 90% of the land was used to create all the nice-looking spacious places you see, for the sole benefit of 20% of the population, while the remaining 80% were largely confined to 10% of the land. Although today non-whites occupy more land than they did in 1913, it is still small compared to land occupied by whites. What does this mean today? Let's illustrate. The conurbation of Benoni covers a land area of 177.55 square kilometers. There are 438,610 people who call this place home. If you are an urban planner, then you would assume that the population density in this place is 2,740 people per square kilometer. You couldn't be more wrong. For those of us who don't know what population density is, let's take a minute to find out. Simply put, population density is a mathematical formula used to measure how many people occupy a specific area of land. Let's use two squares of unequal sizes to illustrate. Our unequal land areas have the same number of occupants, 4 in each. We're going to use this formula, population divided by land area, to calculate. The population is the number of occupants per square, and the land area is the area of the square, which we calculate by multiplying the length of the two sides of the square. 4 divided by 1 is equals to 4. Therefore, we have a population of 4 people per square kilometer. We're going to do the same for the bigger square. We'll still have a population of 4, but we are going to have a different area of land because when we multiply these two sides, we get 4. 4 divided by 4 is equals to 1. Therefore, we have a population density of 1 person per square kilometer. This is population density. The conurbation of Benoni includes the townships of Davidton and Itwatwa. Davidton covers a land area of 14.45 square kilometers. There are 127,967 people who live here. Obviously then, the population density in Davidton is not 2,740, but is 8,900 people per square kilometers. Etwatwa covers a land area of 20.83 square kilometers, and there are 151,866 people who live here, making the population density in this place to be 7,300 people per square kilometer. The remaining 140.27 square kilometers of land area are mostly occupied by the 158,777 residents of Benoni, and the population density in this place is 1,132 people per square kilometer. So you see, 158,000 people occupy more land than 279,000 people. To further illustrate, imagine we could remove the 158,000 residents of Benoni and put other townships in their place. How many townships do you think we can fit in? We can fit in up to 5 townships and leave some room to spare. You don't believe me? See for yourself. We can fit in the township of KwaThema with 99,000 residents, Tsakane with 135,000 residents, Katlehong with 467,000 residents, Tembisa with 463,000 residents, and lastly Alexandra with 179,000 residents. This means that if the town of Benoni was a township, it would have over 1.3 million residents, and if the entire conurbation of Benoni was a township, it would have over 1.6 million residents. The sad truth is, this did not just happen. It is a result of exploitative spatial planning that denied ample land, adequate amenities, and also limited economic activities in non-white areas. Size does matter, yet the injustice done to black South Africans is not limited to the size of land alone. Although size alone comes with a number of challenges for urban planners and city managers, challenges such as zoning and land use, informal settlements, lack of public space for parks and recreation, unplanned high-density areas, lack of access to critical infrastructure. The list is endless. We all know the reason behind segregation is apartheid. But do we know the reason behind apartheid? Because apartheid was just an instrument to enforce a belief. What belief? A belief in white supremacy. White supremacy is the belief that white people are superior to people of other races and therefore should dominate over them. What does this have to do with land and inequality? Everything. These issues are always simplified. You know these statements all too well. Land was dispossessed from the natives, and then follows the list of acts, the Group Areas Act, the Land Act of 1913, and many others too numerous to mention in this video. A lot happened in between. In between what? Between the dispossession and the current situation. A large number of South Africa's population lives in townships and the informal settlements in and around the townships. On the next video, we cast an eagle's eye on South Africa's township. We look at its design, its use as an instrument of oppression, and how does it continue to foster economic exclusion. This is an introduction to a series of videos aimed at answering the question, what's behind South Africa's inequality? On this series, we will look at events in the history timeline of South Africa, and the impact those events had on the lives of ordinary South Africans back then, and how does that affect South Africa today. When we put all we've spoken about today in layman's terms, we can simply say South Africa is the most unequal country in the world because it was built that way. It was built to instill a belief in white supremacy in all of its citizens. It was built to separate racial and ethnic groups by class and living standards, and economically it was built to have a master and servant type of economy, sometimes referred to as modern-day slavery. For a continuation of today's topic, subscribe and hit the bell button to get a notification when we upload the next video on this series on inequality, titled What's Behind South Africa's Inequality? The Township. This has been Demetrius. Thank you for watching.